want to do is get you in to see the crown jewels.
Yeah.
Now the crown jewels are the most valuable things in this country, and they're pretty impressive. They're the jewels in the crowns and the regalia used during the coronation ceremony. Okay, they're not terribly old by English standards. Most of the jewels date from the 1660s. So why do you think that was? English Civil War. Charles I, Oliver Cromwell. Charles I loses his head. We have a period of a republic, which we call the Commonwealth. And so the republic was so sure that the royals will never come back again that they got rid of the crown jewels. They sold it off, melted it down, sold it on the international market.
On eBay?
eBay, if it existed.
Oh, that
flogged it off quite cheaply, actually. And that's how it was all lost. All the medieval regalia and items were lost at that time. And so when the monarchy was restored under Charles II, in 1660, he needed new regalia, new stuff. And so a lot of this stuff dates from that period or onwards. There are only 2 items which still survive from the old set. And it's reckoned that they survived simply because it wasn't recognised what they were, how important they were. The most important is this like bird-like oil holder, which is called an ampulla. And this is used to anoint the monarch with holy oil. Now, the idea of anointing with oil going back to the Old Testament in the Bible. So you've got that, and you've got the spoon, which also is involved in the anointing. Those are the only medieval bits. But even so, still pretty good. You've got things like the biggest diamond in the world, which it was found in the Cullinan mine in South Africa. And it came here as a gift from the South African government, and it's known as the Cullinan diamond. It was cut. But they still had the biggest diamond in the world at 530 carats. And they now have the second biggest diamond in the world at a little over 300 carats. So pretty big diamonds. They call them the first star of Africa and the second star of Africa.
Oh, yeah.
The first star of Africa, the biggest, is in the scepter, which is the staff. The scepter with the cross, symbolising the monarch's kingly authority. And she holds that on the throne in Westminster Abbey. And the other diamond, the second biggest, is in the imperial state crown. And that's the crown that the Queen wears when she leaves the Abbey. And that's the one you normally see her wearing when you see a photograph of the Queen wearing a crown on the coronation day usually. So that's the imperial state crown. So you've got those 2 big diamonds. You've got some other very famous jewels. You've got the Black Prince's ruby. So it's a wonderful ruby which was worn by Henry V in his crown on his helmet during the Battle of Agincourt. So one of the greatest English battles, and the French actually broke through, and one of the French dukes hit the king on the head, and knocking his crown off, and nearly lost the diamond, the ruby in that battle. So quite famous, another item. Another thing to look out for is the super tunica. Now this is again worn by the Queen at the coronation. And if you ever see a documentary of the Queen at the coronation, you see she's moving very slowly. That's largely because she's wearing the super tunica, which is made of gold cloth. So it's cloth which is woven with gold thread. So it's incredibly heavy. So if she looks like she's going like that, it's partly the weight of the super tunica. So have a look at that, that's pretty impressive. You've also got the swords, the 3 swords of justice. You've got one sword of spiritual justice, one sword of temporal justice, and you've got the sword of mercy, which is symbolised by having a blunt end. So she's presented with that to remind her that she must temper justice with mercy. So you've got that. When you go in, the first rooms you'll see will have the coats of arms of the kings and monarchs of England from the beginning, pretty much, and then up to the present. Then you'll go into another room, 2 rooms, where you'll see audio-visual displays of the coronation. And so that's really good, because you'd actually be able to see the items being used, being presented to the monarch, saying, with this sword, exercise mercy, and so forth. And you'll be able to see close-ups or blow-ups of the other items. So it's really good. And so you gradually feed through, and then you go through these big vault doors like a bank. Well, even more important than the bank doors. And then you'll be actually really in the actual room. You get on a conveyor belt and you go past the main set of jewels. They don't go by you, you go past them. And then you can go round and have a look on the other side. So you can go around as many times as you like. Another one of the great diamonds is the Koh-i-Noor, which came from India. It's known as the Mountain of Light. The Indians want it back. That's, whenever you get an Indian group, they always say we want the Koh-i-Noor back, like the Elgin marbles in the British Museum. It's got a curse on it, apparently, that any man who owns it comes horribly unstuck. So men in the past, and it's a very ancient diamond, have been murdered for it, had their empires overthrown, generally had a bad time. So when it came to England, you can imagine they were a bit apprehensive. So what they did was they put it in the Queen Mother's crown. And she, being a woman, is not affected by any curse on a man. And she lived, 102, wasn't she? So she did all right. So make sure you look out for that in her crown too. So it's really good stuff. So you go through and you'll come out on the other side there. There's some toilets around the side there as well. And there's the, I'll be waiting for you on benches, okay? So I reckon it'll take you about 15 minutes or so. Okay, so go through there and then we'll continue with our tour.